I have a call, and yeah, I think Jenna might have some new insights here. DJ in Colorado, thank you so much for waiting. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Jenna.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, big fan of you guys, especially you, Matt. You really changed my life, especially back when I was deployed. I had a little theistic struggle and everything, but the Atheist Experience, Non-Stamp Collector, and Dark Matter, and all you guys, thank you so much for opening my eyes. Anyway,
thank you.
So I have an issue that may possibly come up, and I've changed my name and my daughter's name just for, I doubt that my parents listen, but, whatever. I have a little girl. She's almost 4. Her name is Jaslyn. My parents are Catholic and Christian. They're not like fundamentalist or whatever the extremist, whatever the word is, where they're they didn't disown me one night when I told them that I didn't really believe anymore and all that jazz and stuff like that. They just was like, oh, okay, and kind of just stop mentioning that type of stuff around me, whatever. But they have said certain things from time to time, not in a cruel way or anything. Just I guess that's just their way of what's the word? Coping with it, or just maybe they think it's a phase or something. But it's been about 10 years, and so far, whatever. You know what I mean? So they love my little one, and I love them. They have been asking me not too much when are you gonna get baptized? When is she gonna get baptized and blah blah blah, all this stuff. Whenever I have this deployment coming up too, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, they're gonna be spending a lot of time around her. I know that they're probably gonna take her to church and all that stuff, which I guess I really don't care too much about, but that's not the way I really want to raise my children. So I was wondering what you guys think about that.
I've been doing a lot of research into parenting, secular parenting specifically, ever since I became an atheist a couple years ago. And I just had a baby a couple months ago, so I'm just now having to
Congratulations.
Live it. Thank you. And so basically, my mom came and stayed with me when I first had him, and she wanted to go to church, and I had to go with her, and I had the option of leaving my baby with my partner at home or just taking my mom. I took him with me, and the thing is, I think that exposure is one of the best things that can help a forming brain, especially if you expose them to that religion. You know what? I'm not going to give you advice. I'm just going to tell you what I do. I'm exposing him to the religions in my family. My parents, my family is religious as well. But I'm also going to expose him to other religions and other ideas. And that way he will grow up kind of seeing these two and being kind of like the last caller we asked, how do you tell the difference between these two gods? One's real, one's not. How do you tell the difference? He'll eventually come to that same position. How do you tell? And so hopefully he can, much younger than I was, develop those critical thinking skills of how to tell when something is true or not. And I think that if those are developed at a young age, and this is based off of what I've seen, what I've researched, it's pretty hard for him to be that. I don't want to say the word gullible, but manipulative. I mean, you know what I mean? I hate to say that, but
yeah.
So does that help?
I guess because don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those. I used to be one of those people who love to debate and some of that religion, and from time to time I guess I will from now. But I'm not really that big on it. Whatever. I don't go to church. I don't do any of that stuff or whatever like that. And I know at some point, she's gonna be how come my my friends go to church on Sundays and we don't, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like,
Tell them.
Because I don't really believe in it. Well, yeah, is that, I don't know if that's too, like, I want her to be able to come with her own decisions about what she wants, or what she wants, or not wants to believe, but what she believes and what she accepts and whatnot. But I also don't want to be, you know, hey, listen, you know, you have to think exactly like I do. You know, I'm sure she's probably smarter than me.
But you didn't say that. You didn't say that, though. You didn't say you have to think the way that I do. You just told them, you answered their question. Right. What do you believe? And I think that's legitimate. You're allowed to tell them what you believe. And if they decide, if that rings a bell with them, then they'll take it. And if it doesn't, that's okay.
Yeah, there's a concern that some people have that, you know, if I'm the parent, if I'm the uncle, if I'm in a position of, you know, authority, perceived authority over them, and I say, here's what I believe, that this will have some undue influence over them. And that's certainly a legitimate thing to be concerned about. But you can easily do it in a way where you say, hey, I believe this, other people believe that. You're going to have to decide what you believe. For example, I don't have any kids, but my niece and nephew, when I was talking to my brother about them, I said, I don't want to lie. I won't say I never lie, because everybody's going to lie about something, but generally speaking, it would take a lot to get me to lie. Certainly I don't want to lie to my niece and nephew. And so if they come to me and they're like, hey, you know, why doesn't Uncle Matt go to church, or what do you believe? I'm going to tell them what I believe. And I told my brother this. I'm always going to be honest with them. The other thing, I don't engage that much in baby talk. Okay, with a proper baby. But as soon as I think that anybody can remotely understand, I talk to kids as if they're people, whether they are or not.
Yeah.
And my niece and nephew both completely know Uncle Matt's an atheist. And if they had it, they also know that if they had any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And not once have I spent a single second trying to push my beliefs onto them, or criticizing their beliefs, or even asked them what they believe about it. Because in the same reason I don't make outgoing calls here. If somebody wants to talk to me about their beliefs, they call in or they send me a message and say, let's talk about it. I don't run around, you know, you should stop believing. Oh, you better tell me what you believe right now. Do you believe in Jesus? Because I can fix that. You know, I don't, that's silly. And
yeah, there's a difference.
There's much to worry about in telling people, including kids, what you believe. I tend to value teaching them how to think and showing them that you're willing to be honest and that you are open to saying, I believe this, other people believe that. It's going to be up to you.
There's a difference between telling them what you believe and telling them what we believe. Because I was told, we believe in this, we believe in that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I should too. Right. If you just tell them what you believe, I think that is a huge difference.
Okay.
If you specify.
And that's extremely helpful. Thank you. I also just have one small question. What would you guys do in that situation? So, like, say, I obviously want my children to have a great relationship with my parents and stuff like that, but I know that they're going to be on the, you know, they need to be baptized or something like that, and they're probably going to, I mean, I can just bet that they'll just, and it comes from a place of love. I understand this is what they believe, but they're just going to, like, take my children and then go off and baptize them when they spend the night over or something like that. You know what I mean? And, like, how would you talk to your parents about that in that hypothetical scenario?
Would it be okay with your parents? Would it be okay with your parents if another family member took one of their kids to a satanic ceremony and splattered them with blood?
Probably not.
Yeah. And so would your parents want people interfering with how they parent their child?
I would, no, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can say that. However, I will say, I was baptized voluntarily after accepting Jesus into my heart and after walking down an aisle. Plenty of other, you know, religions sprinkle babies as soon as they possibly can, declaring them for the church. It does absolutely nothing to or for the baby. This is pomp and circumstance and sophistry for the parents and the grandparents to make them feel like, ooh, we've done it. We've made sure we've added another, you know, Catholic child, etc. I wouldn't panic just because your people around you are going to try to teach your kid things and probably going to try and do stuff. If they try and baptize or whatever, it's not the end of the world. And if you have a relationship with your kid where they can talk to you about this, you'll know when it happens. And then you go to them, the people who did it, and you're like, how would you like it if I tried to undermine your parenting?
I think that that's a really good way to put it into perspective for them, to kind of give them the less of a desire to do that. But I just think if I was in that situation, you know, he's 3 months old, that's about the age in the Catholic religion that you should have already been baptized. Like I was baptized at a month old. The thing is, it's not that I'm worried that the baptism itself will hurt my kid in any way. It's the fact that I'm leaving my kid with somebody who knows that I wholeheartedly disagree with something, and they went behind my back to do what they thought was right because that overrides my thoughts and my parenting style. That's not something I'm okay with, because that's probably not the last time they'll do something like that. And I don't know what's next.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a little, because I remember the day I told my parents, you know, a long time ago that I just didn't really buy into all this stuff. I didn't really have a good reason to believe what, you know, they've taught me to believe and whatnot. And you know, I'm not saying that they were being like mean or anything, but you know, they just said, well, good thing you're baptized, so you're fine and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I guess. And I was just like, and truth be told, like you said, Matt, I wouldn't really. It's just water. Some old guy sprinkling water on my kid. Like, that's a little weird, but all right, give me my child back.
Yeah, I'm far more concerned about the fact that Jenna pointed out, that they are willing to undermine you and go behind and do what you don't want. And also, I'm far more concerned about what happens when they start teaching them ideas. If you want to sprinkle something on my kid's head, I don't want you to, but I'd much rather you sprinkle things on my kid's head than sprinkle things in my kid's head. And
are you sprinkling things that are about how they shouldn't trust me? Are they saying things about how I'm an atheist and that's why they shouldn't trust me?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
You know, yeah. If they're going to be that dishonest, then you don't know what they're doing. So.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Well, no, that does help, and I appreciate you guys. Talking to me. I do feel a little bit better. I'll make sure I talk with my parents, you know, about this, about how I feel and how, like you said, how they would feel if the situation was reversed in a different religion or something like that, you know. So
ultimately, you are the parent.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, technically, it's up to your kid, but
right. But I just don't want. You know, that to be a point of contention with my parents. Because growing up, you know, my whole family's religious, but still, you know, I loved spending time with my grandparents. I loved spending time with my parents and all that stuff. And they are the whole family. My whole family's great. You know what I mean? But it's just that aspect of it is concerning to me.
I was gonna
they would probably go. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to end the call because, I mean, we've got other callers and everything, but you just said something that I want to give you a little bit of information about, and that's how much time you love spending with your grandparents. Here's the dirty little secret. Your kids' grandparents want to spend time with them, and you are responsible. You are the one who gets to decide whether or not that happens. You don't want to deny your kid the opportunity to spend time with your grandparents, and I understand that. But you should also remember that you can deny the grandparents time spent with their grandkids. You have the one thing they want more than anything, and it's not a problem for you to say, I would love for you to spend as much time with your grandchild as you would love, as you want to spend, but you are not going to do A, B, C, or D. And if that's not acceptable, then you just don't get to spend time with them. It should hopefully never come to that, but you have all the power and all the leverage here.
And I would also just mention being careful, because something that I've learned in this journey of learning about parenting is that the more that you remove something from a kid, the more that you say that this is bad, you shouldn't do this, the more curious they become about it. And so if you present, you know, some kind of, you know, sans relationship with their grandparents, if you present it as, they, you know, we don't talk to them or something like that, then that just kind of, I wonder why. So I would just express exactly, if you can have that conversation with them, tell them, I really don't want this to end. I really want this relationship to stay intact. And again, with your kids, if that has to be a separate thing, then tell them honestly why you don't want them, which is that you don't trust them. And if something changes, if they can give you a reason to trust them, then it's possible to change.
On that note, DJ, I hope that helped. There's a lot to think about. Call us back. Let us know how it goes, what you decided. And, you know, if you're running into any problems or what you worked, if you found a better way that might help other parents.
Thanks,
right.
DJ.
Okay. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Not to say I'm some kind of model parent or anything. It's just that I've been kind of looking into this like research-based stuff. It's kind of new. It's fun. It's awesome.